Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 234. My name is Brett, aka Enigma911, and today, once again, we are joined by Jeff at Jeff Red Gaming. Jeff, how's it going, man? How are you doing?
Hey, yes. Hey, everybody. I am your guest, Jeff, with, I guess, technically Jeff Red Gaming.
Technically.
Kind of, still. With me, as always, is your host, Enigma911, three-time winner of the Taekwondo National Association's Thickest Mystery Claps Awards.
Hell yeah.
I'll let you decide what you think are the thickest mystery claps.
Who's to say?
Clapping?
Who's to say?
What is he clapping?
My hands. Or cheeks, whatever. Either one.
That is, and I brought this up with you the other day, that is a reference to a Extra Life stream. I don't even remember, and I tried to find the clip, but there is a thing where you were, like...
Oh, the squats, yeah.
Doing, yeah, and somebody, I don't even think it was me, but somebody brought up, like, clap them cheeks or something.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know who it was, Sarah. But who knows? Good times. You guys can catch this podcast live, if we do it live, over on twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you can join in the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the channel, I almost said show channel, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, whatever it is, may seem small, but does help and go a long way. So likes, subs, shares, whatever it is, we would love and appreciate you guys for it. So yes, first guest.
Do it or I'll hunt you down.
Jeff returning as a guest, and our first guest in like a long time. So Jeff, once again, appreciate you hanging out with us today. But yeah,
Always.
Topic.
Again, it won't be, Reggie's not here. Live. There won't be another like weird, like what was that game we played? Like the wrong answers only or whatever. And it brought up pirate ship.
Oh my goodness,
thing,
yeah.
And we're not, yeah.
And chat, if you're not watching a video, you need to, because we have first time special guest Ollie in the house as he's doing his little twirl in the background.
Yeah, Ollie, you wanna come here?
He's there. We see him. He's doing a great job.
He hasn't been seen in a while.
Hello.
Oh, he's getting
What a
bit
good
old.
boy. Hello.
Yes.
Get the pets.
Oh, no, not my glasses, though. Not my glasses.
Back to bed.
Like, every other piece of furniture in here is his bed.
That sounds about right.
Like a two-seater recliner couch that I pick one spot. There's a recliner and an old couch that I actually inherited from Reggie. And how it works is I get to choose whichever seat on the recliner couch, and then like if I get up for more than 5 minutes, he'll steal
Whoop.
the
Yep.
spot. And I don't have the heart to kick him out of it, so I have to take the other one.
Yep.
And then he just kind of moves around wherever he wants.
Oh yeah. Yep. Artemis is the same exact way. And there's times like I'll stay up late and I'm working on stuff, and usually I pass out on the couch just with my snoring, but I'll see Artemis on there and I'm like, oh buddy. So I'm like cramming my way in there on the other cushions. She's like, just move them.
We had that moment earlier where Sarah was on the couch watching Bones, and I went to be like, hey, you want a foot rub? I got like some lotion. And she was like, yes, absolutely. And I was like, Ollie's like furrowed up right behind your legs, right? You gotta move them. And she kind of like gently was like, go on. And then I gave it a foot rub and everything. And like I came down here to get ready, but he was sitting all the way at the opposite end of the couch. He wouldn't get up and go back over. He was like, oh, you shamed him. You made him like he's like, no, I'm over here.
Right. Timeout zone.
You don't want me. You don't want me over there.
Pets. So, chat, viewers, getting into our first topic. We're going to be talking all about Jeff, because Jeff, you have been retired from
Almost.
stream, and
It's almost a year.
I was going to say,
at this point.
yeah.
Depending on when this comes out, yeah, it was sometime in February last year, that I like made that announcement that I was stepping back, and I part of me feels kind of shitty. It was like, I'll still do some stuff. Didn't do shit.
Oh, I mean, hey, that's fine. So
But
yeah,
I'll upload the videos I recorded.
nah, cold turkey, pa. So I guess just to start off, like, what made you realize or get to that point where you're like, nah, I'm gonna stop, or I'm gonna end this where you were at?
Yeah, well, and I still don't know if it's an end.
Sure.
Because I did really love doing that. Streaming or recording is a creative expression. It is a lot like, acting or theater or like performance reading or things like that. It's a way to express yourself creatively. And incorporating a medium that you love and is like an escape and something you enjoy and other people enjoy, and you want to share that with them. Hold on, I gotta switch. 2 earbuds is too much.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna start shouting.
Oh, sure. Yep.
But yeah, no, and we kind of have to go back to a previous stream or a previous podcast where we talked about burnout. And we talked about a couple things there. And one burnout was one of them. The amount of like you feel the feeling like you always have to be on. You have to be like on for the show. It's gotta be like, you gotta go. You gotta do it. It's gotta be right. The pressure of that, and I don't remember who it was, but that one was live, and there was somebody in chat who was like, I don't get like why that's stressful.
Sure.
And it was so difficult to kind of get that across, because that's kind of unless you're performing in front of people, whether it's in person or online, like if it's like people are viewing it, like pressure is the same thing. And so in addition to the one burnout and like the stress of always like having to be on, the other thing we talked about was where you are in your life. And I remember you being like, oh God, I never considered that, and I really, really, really do love sharing something that I love with other people, and that has held steady. I love talking about games with people. I love, reading, like I read to my kids all the time. I love, talking about movies and things like that, and I totally lost my train of thought.
You're good.
But no, the thing is, I loved it so much, but it was at the point where it was like, I would wake up in the morning and I'd go to work and I'd be like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna stream tonight. We're gonna do this. I want to do this. Like I have these jokes in mind or whatever. It's gonna be awesome. And then I get through the day, and then it would come time to like do it, and it's like come home, make dinner, check over homework, all that kind of stuff, and there'd just be like no energy for it.
Right.
Which kind of leads into the burnout side of things. And I just be like, hey, you know what, man? Like, I'm sorry, everybody. I can't do it tonight. Something came up, or I don't have the energy. And I kept finding myself in that situation. And then I kept realizing, like, I was making, like, excuses almost. Like, sometimes I'd be like, oh, like, I'm having, like, internet issues or whatever. It's like, there's no internet issues. And for things like that. And it's like, I was stressing myself out about not doing it when I hadn't promised it to anybody. Like,
Sure.
I've always had a very, like, I always had a very, you know, I'm going to do it when I feel like doing it. You know, I'm going to try and keep a schedule, but I'm not promising anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, like, holding myself accountable to a schedule that I wasn't promising to anybody, and then, like, punishing myself for it. And I would just beat myself up over, like, you know, why aren't you doing this? Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you, you know, like, you had all these ideas and everything, why aren't you doing it? And that, like, negativity of it, of the, like, not having, it's just, I was just tired, you know. I work long days. I have a grown-up job. I would not to say that anybody else doesn't, by the way. You know, it's just, you know, 8-hour days are long ass days.
Sure.
Especially when you have, like, kid stuff on top of that and family stuff. But it was just like I was judging myself and holding myself accountable to this thing that, one, nobody else was holding me accountable to that, especially to the level that I was, and two, I hadn't promised anybody, and that negativity that I was creating for myself kind of kept building and building and building. And the thing with negativity is, like, with that kind of thing, like, that starts to seep into other areas of your life. And I really realized, like there was a thing, and there's other stuff going on, but, like, Sarah and the kids went to Florida, and I didn't go. And, like, one of the primary reasons is, like, okay, well, I don't have time off. We don't want to put Ollie in a thing, but also, like, in the back of my mind, part of me was like, you need to be here to do your stream. And they were gone, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm missing a trip with my family for something I'm not going to end up doing and just beating myself up over. And, like, I realized, you know, like, the negativity that I was putting on myself, like, and, like, trying to force myself to do this thing that I just didn't have the energy for. And honestly, like, because I didn't have the energy and I was pressuring myself so much, I had stopped enjoying as much as I should. And I just realized, like, oh, this thing that I love, this thing that started as a hobby, has morphed into this thing that is kind of starting to poison everything.
Sure.
And I was like, I gotta stop. I gotta, like, refocus on, like, what's really important to me. You know, I shouldn't be missing things like this with my family. I shouldn't be, like, screwing up at work because I'm stressed out about this thing that I'm not even going to do later on in the day. Things like that. So it was a combination of, like, again, all the things we previously talked about. You know, like, where you are. Like, when I started, you know, I was working a dead-end job. The kids were really young. They weren't in school. You know, they didn't need a lot of, like, attention, or, well, I mean, not to say they didn't need attention. Like, we didn't have to go over homework.
Yeah.
They didn't have, like, grown-up thoughts. They just had, like, simple questions and things like that. And Sarah was working way more at a job that way more stressed her out, and, like, so she just came home and kind of, like, read a lot, and it's like that was my escape. And my fun thing, just, like, as my situation changed and I got in a job that was like, hey, this is, like, I can support my family with this, it makes me happy, I like what I'm doing. I didn't need the escape, but I felt like I, like, wanting to do it, and then also that perverted, like, feeling like I needed to, because I was holding myself to some kind of thing, morphed it into this, like, poisonous, gelatinous cube that just kind of sucked everything in, and, like, just really fucked a lot of shit, honestly. And I was like, you know what? I gotta stop, and I gotta refocus. I would love to come back at some point because I don't miss the technical issues.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't miss those. Um, but it's like, I miss, like, a lot of my favorite memories are, like, certain games, hanging out, like, talk. It was basically, chat was the favorite part. I can play video games, on my own, or I can scream at the TV by myself. Same thing I tell people who are like, why don't you watch sports? Like, I can scream at the TV. I don't need a sports team involved to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I do miss that part of it, but like, I had to just refocus and like, kind of realizing what I should be, like, what should be the most important thing, like what I should be getting stressed out about, and like, this is not something that right now for me could be causing me the stress that it was.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's good, because it's tough to do.
I was rambling. I'm right there with you, people.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of you, because that's tough to do, is realize, hey, something's not working, I need to change it. And
you know what the weird thing is too, like, a part of that, like, part of the fight against it, well, there was one, sunk cost fallacy is a real bitch. That is a real psychological bitch to get over. Two, part of me was kind of proud, like, hey, when I started streaming, I had all these other friends who were streaming. And, like, by the time I quit, it was basically just you and me.
Right.
But I had, like, 8 or 9 different people who constantly streamed when I started. Like, Uber Brent was one of the ones who helped me get started and figure out how everything worked. And he, quit too. And I was like, I'm still going. I'm proud of that. And it's like, no, fucking let that pride shit go,
Sure. Yeah. So because you were doing a lot. You were doing the streams, as you brought up. You were doing
way too much.
You were doing the YouTube content, both editing streams and recording separately. So, like, was it a moment, like, how did it feel last February when you stopped? Did you feel lost? Or did you feel like, I have this new goal and you were headed for it, like, straight away?
No. I mean, when I was doing the most stuff was before I quit. And that was back maybe a year or two before I stopped. And I was trying to do like 2 to 3 streams a week, and also separately recording and uploading like a half-hour, 45-minute video, like 3 to 5 times a week just for YouTube. And I had cut back on that because, like, we had that previous conversation about burnout and things like that, and I had kind of versioned that at that point, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just focus on the streaming, and I can edit that and do that. Because one stream, long enough, you can edit that into like 3 to 5 uploads. No, it wasn't even when I did it. The moment happened before I made the announcement. And it was like a lightning bolt. It's like, oh, I fucked up. That's honestly how I felt. It's like, I fucked up. I turned this thing that I loved and I enjoyed into an extremely stressful job that I, like, don't get any enjoyment at the expense of things that I do extremely love and do get a lot of enjoyment of. I need to, like, reorganize my shit.
Sure.
And, like, the moment I had that thought, that's when I went on Facebook and was like, hey, I'm calling it. Yeah, I gotta, like, refocus on my stuff and, like, focus on my family and things. Because, like, I've been screwing up.
So, since you've stopped, do you feel like, is this a weight off your shoulders and, like, things seem to be heading in a more positive direction, do you feel? Do you feel like it has ticked that box for you?
I mean,
obviously everything's a work in progress. You don't want me to be, everything's fixed, but
that's the thing. Everything is that's the thing. Like, life is a work in progress. Constantly growing and changing, learning from your mistakes. never say that, like, I had a perfect thought when you first asked the question, and then I heard Artemis, and I did that stupid meow back,
Oh.
and it threw everything out of my brain.
That happens.
Yeah, no, I don't, you know, I'm happier where I am. I miss it. Like I said, I really miss, like, when I think back on the things I miss most, it was, like, talking with like, some of the specific playthroughs, like the vampire playthrough, and, like, joking with chat, like, pretending I didn't know who killed the main character's sister, and being like, we gotta find out who did, like, stupid things like that, where I just got to hang out with chat. I really miss that. But as far as, like, everything else goes, like, that's hard to say, man.
Sure.
I mean, you try having an almost 12-year-old daughter and figuring out if you're doing good or not.
Sure, yeah.
You know? That's, like, that's the thing I try and keep myself, one. I try and keep in mind, like, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm trying to be better, even if I make mistakes.
Yeah.
Or I, like, you know, like, I slip or I trip or whatever, like, I don't stop trying to be better. And also, like, this is my first time being an adult too. Like, I'm learning to be an adult.
Yeah.
This is my first time being a dad and, like, you know, husband and things like that. So, like, all I can do is keep trying and hoping. I feel like I definitely am less, like, stressed about my free time.
Good.
I will say I have found it harder to just play games or watch other people playing games, which is a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that coming.
Sure.
Like, the whole, like, I kind of fully disconnected from, like, Let's Plays and Twitch in general, which is not something I intended or wanted.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh god, I'm not, like, you know, I'm not watching the people that I like and I do support and things like that. And it's like, although I raise support, but that comes from the focusing on the face.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna ask. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. I was gonna.
I forgot to talk the moment I went.
No worries. I was gonna ask, how is that relationship with games now? Like, obviously you said it's much different and you don't feel like you can dive into them as much. I was wondering, like, do you feel...
It's really weird, because, like, I did take, like, 3 or 4 months and I didn't watch any games, I didn't play any video games. Like, my full focus was just on, like, I didn't be present in, like, IRL. And then, like, I kind of started getting into them again, and it's weird, because, like, I still love games, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, they've always been an escape for me. And I feel like that's what they should be. They should be an escape, not a crutch. And, like, trying to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, making sure, you know, like, I'm not, like, you know, I need to play games in a way where I'm not, like, ignoring the kids, or, like, you know, like, not including them or things like that, which is really difficult when you have an 8-year-old with ADHD and all he does is watch like Minecraft and Roblox YouTube videos. The most, which, by the way, are the most annoying.
Oh yeah.
On the planet. Like, I thought the weird, like, oh, Spider-Man got pregnant, I thought that was really annoying.
Sure.
Those YouTube videos. No. There's a whole subsection of YouTubers who are, like, just Minecraft and Roblox, and it's just like, did you realize this one guy he says he has a brother and it's a bird. It's the same guy. He's just doing a different voice and editing it. And, no, you can't do this because they're playing on a computer and you don't have Minecraft on a computer.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's aside from all of that, which Willow is actually kind of grown out of games in a weird way. Like, she plays some of them still, but, like, she's very much getting into the preteen thing where like she just wants to be on her phone talking to her friends and doing like whatever their thing is, which is like weird, like making their own memes and things like that. I kind of started to get back into it, and I find that I can do it, but like it's hard to stick
Sure.
with a game. It's harder for me to stick with a single game, which is why like for the last, I don't know how many months. You actually might know better than me because you called me out on this. I think I really started to get back into games with. I don't remember what did it when I started wanting to play Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess for the first time, because I never got past like the first second world.
Yeah.
And then I started doing that, and then I was like, this is this is fun, but like it's getting that like RPG itch. I bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth months ago. I need to actually start doing that, and then I started doing that, and then the one thing that really did get me it was the new Life is Strange game. Life is Strange.
It's not True Colors, or is it the other one?
No, it's like Double Exposure.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, which I've been loving so far. I did start to get into that thing of like, this is the oldest thing that kicked in. It's like, you need to like, they're gonna rate you at the end of this chapter.
Oh.
Yep. You
Yep.
can make sure, and that started to stress me out. So I was like, okay, no, let's step off of that a little bit. And then I was like, okay, well, what am I trying to do? And then the re-release or the remaster of Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain 2 came out, and I got deep into that
Nice.
for like 2 weeks. I had the same problem with that I had with my actual PS1 copy, which is that certain parts of that game are so goddamn dark.
Okay.
That I can't tell what's going on, and I didn't change any of the like brightness controls or anything in the remaster, and I like can't figure out the settings on my TV to be able to see what I'm doing sometimes.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, we're gonna pause that, and then I got back into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that's what I've been focusing on lately. Although I think it's time to put that away and jump back into Life is Strange because I actually have been really like having a vibe of like I really want to get into some old school RPGs. I want to play like Chrono Trigger, some PS1/Super Nintendo RPGs, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was filling that for a little while until I spent 3 hours failing to win a sit-up contest.
Oh.
And then I was like, nope. So I think I'm gonna be getting back into that, but I'm that's the kind of thing. It's like play a game for a little bit right now, and then switch to another one.
Sure.
And then cycle through them. That seems to be what works for me right now. I will say Jack got a couple games for like Christmas and stuff that I really want to play, but I can't get them away from him.
Sure. Yeah.
I would love to play Thousand Year Door on the Switch. Oh, that's the other thing that really I got back into was this one came out I think a year ago or maybe 2. The remaster of Star Ocean 2.
Ooh, okay.
Which is actually I had played that on the PS1 and I loved it, but I never got very far into it because for whatever reason my copy kept crashing at a certain point. But because of my job and the promotion I got, I was going to work for 8.5 hours on Saturdays, and like I was like waiting for somebody to ask me something, so I had a lot of free time. And the only thing that I've been doing more than playing games or hanging out is reading, and it became a problem where I need to stop buying books or start buying new bookshelves.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've already bought at least 2 bookshelves in the last 12 months. And I don't have space for anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to like stop. So like I was like, I'm not doing anything. They don't care. I'm just gonna start bringing the Switch in and like playing a game unit, and so I started bringing that in and playing that, and I got super into it. And again, like, it goes back to that. And this might be just a thing for me, or like a certain subset of people. I didn't have a PlayStation growing up. I didn't get. I had a PS2. I think when I was like a sophomore, a junior in high school, I got the PS2. But up until that point, you know, I had like Nintendo. Never had a Super Nintendo. I had Nintendo, Sega Genesis, N64, GameCube, and like I was playing those, but I kept seeing like, you know, I grew up on early Nintendo stuff, which did have Final Fantasy and some decent RPGs and stuff, and then they all migrated to PlayStation, so I just kept looking at all the PlayStation people playing all their super cool RPGs, pixel art and everything, and so like there was this huge backlog of like, I want to play all these games that only came out on the system that I'll never own, and this is one of those things like I get to like indulge that.
Yeah.
And so that's been a lot of fun.
Good.
To the point where like I got it, I think like a year ago or a year and a half ago or whatever when it came out on the Switch. I actually bought another copy for the PS.
Nice. Okay, so it seems like you're getting into it. Yeah, I can definitely relate with the hopping in and out of things. Like I'm wondering if that's a not side effect, that sounds weird, but like an effect of streaming, because there's times where I'll be playing something offline and I'll be like super really motivated to play it. Like I just jumped back into Red Dead Redemption 1 to replay it because I was like, oh, I haven't played 2, so you know. And I
still haven't beat 1.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. Well, I got halfway and then and then I was like, kind of like it wasn't bad and I wasn't having a bad time. I was just like, I kind of want to move on to something else. It's just like, why? Why are you like this?
It's that's specifically a Red Dead Redemption 1 thing. I think they really improved it with Red Dead 2. But 1, like you just hit this point of like, I'm just riding a horse through mostly empty land.
Oh, sure.
To go shoot somebody and then riding
all the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like that's just one example. I mean, there's been a few games where I feel like I start it and then just for some reason loses steam and I'm like on to the next one. And I don't know if it's just because the streamer mindset of like, oh, well, yeah, you're gonna play this all the way through because you have the audience watching it or whatever. It's just weird. So yeah, I feel you there.
You've worked through some pretty like you've been on kind of a Souls.
Yeah, weirdly enough, 2024 was like that. Yeah.
Which is not a genre that I can do. One, because a lot of those games you can't pause.
Right.
You know, and two, like I can't like I don't know why I can't like just play through them. There's too much like losing and like having to come back and try again. Like you've been doing that really well, which I will say like is, you know, focusing just on that. You used to be very, very like achievement trophy hunter.
Yeah. And
like I could see you in a day very quickly being like, this shit, I'm gonna go for something where I can get the platinum in like 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, stream, it's been better on stream. It's just off stream, it's still a struggle. And I will admit, there's still times I'm like, there's the trophies there. These mean literally nothing, but come on.
And again, you know, like I still kind of have that mindset. That's why like I had to put down it's what's stopping me from continuing to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, because like I don't need to win this sit up contest.
Yeah.
All I do is get like a piece of gear. I don't even think there's a trophy or anything like that. It's a piece of gear, and then like literally the next thing I do is continue the story. I cannot.
Right.
I cannot. Like, you know. But also it's like that. Like, oh, there's choices, trophies, things like that. Like that's what kind of got in the way of Life is Strange Double Exposure. And it's like, oh god, there's too many choices, and if I choose the wrong thing, I'm gonna get a wrong thing. I already restarted the game 3 times before I got to where I am. No, I get it. It is tough, but like you've been not like I mean Liza P that game looked like a goddamn nightmare.
At points. At points.
And like all of those games now they're just like, okay, what's the most difficult FromSoft game they've made? Let's do that.
Yep.
I feel like even FromSoft is like, what's the most difficult? Can we just remake, Bloodborne?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we give them shields, maybe we don't.
So you alluded to it already, Jeff, with finding some new interests, or rather revitalizing some energy and some stuff now that you've stopped streaming with the reading. Is there anything else that you've noticed since stopping the editing, the streaming, etc., that you've kind of been like, oh, I'm going to dive back into this, or spending more time with it?
I mean, reading was never something I ever put away. It's always been a thing, but since part of this is since I stopped working at Best Buy.
Okay, yep.
And spending all my money on movies and video games.
Yeah.
Like a lot more money for books. So, cause I think I read. You know what? Hold on. I think I read since last February. I read 13 new books.
Nice.
And altogether read maybe 23 books total.
Dang, that's awesome, dude.
I love I've always loved reading. You know, that's the like. I mean, in a way, reading is like the progenitor of video games because people created stories and with these amazing worlds and things like that, and some of those worlds inspired people to create like tabletop games and things like that. And then some other people were like, hey, we have computers, let's take these tabletop games, and just knocked over an entire stack of D&D paperwork.
Oh, no.
Let's take these tabletop games and like digitize them and make them into computer games, and it started with, like parser, like word games, and it evolved from there. Like, it all comes back to telling stories. So, like, reading has never not been a thing in my life. It has definitely gotten more expensive.
Sure.
I stopped spending so much money on video games because storing video games is a lot easier. They're smaller.
Yeah.
They don't take up as much shelf space as books do, especially when you're like me and you like, I can get the hardcover, I'm going to buy the hardcover.
Yep.
And it's going to take up 2 times as much space. But let's see. I actually did really get back into D&D.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had for a while a home game going. We were running Phandelver and Below for 5th edition, which is the expansion of the like starter box adventure Mines of Phandelver for 5th edition.
Okay.
They took the intro thing to get people hooked on it, and they expanded it into a full module that brings players through level 1 through 10, I think.
Cool.
And I realized, I love playing too. I really like DM because, like, I mean, you know me. I love doing stupid voices and things like that. And if you like putting on voices and doing things like that, like, being a DM is the best thing ever. Problem is trying to play it with 3 family members, one of which has ADD, and the other one is 7 and has severe ADHD, and you accidentally built a super overpowered character who's like a rabbit person with a pole arm who can like leap 12 feet and chop anybody in half with basically one hit. There was like, my son has some bloodlust. Is what I would say.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a murder hobo, and when he wasn't getting to play, he would just be talking over everybody else about how he's going to murder the next person. And And like trying to tell a story and run a game like that it was a little stressful.
Sure.
It was a little stressful trying to be like, shut up so I can tell this story. I know you want to chop somebody in half. That's all you
We
want
gotta
to
get there.
So we were playing that for a while and we paused that, but I have been like looking at trying to get that started again.
Nice.
The 2024, 2025 editions of the new rules came out. Sarah for Christmas got me this really, really gorgeous. Actually, I have it right here. She got me this gorgeous, like limited edition Dungeon Master's
Oh
Guide
wow, very cool. Yeah.
with like a special cover and stuff for the 50th anniversary. And I've been actually trying to. I was gonna say I've been trying to put together like a work D&D game. I've been trying to put together the courage to ask people at
sure.
work if they want to join a game that I run. My original idea was like, you know, I work for a bank. I work on like the tech and the background side of things. I was like, hey, let's get some of the tech background people and like the branch, like customer facing people, and we'll have a game together, and then we can like share like shit because like these two arms of this thing, like any big thing, have a weird problem talking to each other.
Sure. Yeah.
So we can maybe address that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress. Mostly, the progress being me being like, hey, do you play? Do you game? Do you know what dice are?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to, you know, that. But I am trying to, you know, that's like something I'm very excited getting back into. And again, you know, kind of getting back into games. There's a couple games coming out soon. God, as soon as I said that, I thought of like the last like 4 games I meant to buy and didn't. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, like it's the storytelling stuff. Because when I was about to say like there's a couple games coming out, I realized like, oh, those are all RPGs.
Oh, okay.
They're all like really story-heavy, dense things. Which I think again goes back to the whole like games are an escape, you know, and like the better the story, the better the escape, and it tends to usually, not always, but usually, for well-crafted RPGs, they tend to have the best stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that was laundry. I've been looking into new ways to fold laundry.
Nice. Get those little boards. You know, just
instead of folding the sleeves straight over, I kind of angle them down
okay.
now.
Technique.
For the hour that they're folded before I take them upstairs and hang them up.
Oh, sure. Well, nice.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I do really want to. Sarah's gotten really into like painting.
Oh, okay.
And she actually started. Oh, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta grab it. We have a local game store, and some of the nights they have like miniature painting nights
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But they also have like general art stuff, and Sarah got really into some like arts and crafts stuff, and she got some like play and stuff. And this, like, her getting into this kind of reignited this in me, which like she made this beautiful little auroch.
Yeah. Very nice.
Resting on a like big leaf hammock.
Mm-hmm.
Or depending on how you look at it, does kind of look like he's about to be Spitfire. You know, but like making play sets, like making buildings and things like that. And like I always wanted to get into that because like the biggest pain with tabletop gaming is like having to draw out everything on a map. And like if you can just make your own little buildings and walls and things like that and just place them down, like that would be so cool. And I've always wanted to do that, and I've kind of been looking into that. The thing is, I don't see how I can I was gonna say how I can either do it without spending a ton of money on supplies or buying a 3D printer, but buying a 3D printer, buying a 3D printer would be spending a bunch of money on
Yeah.
supplies. It all comes down to money.
Yeah.
But I do like that, like, again, I just kind of like, I love, rediscovering my love of stories and, like, facilitating that love and shit with people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Good. I'm glad. Well, nice, Jeff. Yeah, it seems like this is the positive direction for you. And like you said, it's not, never say never, maybe you'll come back at a different, obviously, focus and stuff. But
like I said, I have been missing it, mostly just like the hanging out with people,
yeah,
talking to you and Lady and Rainbow and making stupid jokes and things like that.
For sure.
I only just, like, within the last, like, 2 months, finally got out of the habit of, like, as I'm playing a game on my own, looking over as if I'm looking at the camera and, like, mugging.
Yeah.
I finally stopped doing that.
Nice. Well, good. Well, thank you for sharing that, Jeff. Appreciate your open and honesty with that, because, yeah, that can be heavy at times, but like I said, happy for you.
And, that's something, again, like, everybody deals with burnout. It's a reality of streaming or creating. And at some point, like, stopping, like I said, unless you figure out a way to monetize your death on camera.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody else is going to have to, like, make that choice at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, what I went through, it's like, it's definitely important to figure that out before it gets to a point where, like, oh, I have to stop. Like, this is a problem now. This thing that I've poisoned this thing that I love, and it is now poisoning, like, everything else.
Yeah. For sure.